All right, well, Miss Ariel, if you will, play us a video.
Prior to Symmetry, I was an entrepreneur. We had a mattress business for about 10 years that we unfortunately had to shut the doors, and we were almost $300,000 in debt.
Before I worked with Symmetry, I was a full-time college student living at home with my parents, and I had a part-time job in a call center.
Before Symmetry, I used to work in a home improvement and furnishing club. I was more in charge of marketing. I worked literally 7 days a week for about 15 years.
I had bartended for 12 years prior to this.
Before I started with Symmetry, I was a psychologist.
Prior to working with Symmetry, I was an elementary school teacher.
Graduated from college at the age of 23. For almost 45 years, I've been in direct sales.
I was in the car business. The one thing, that kind of drove me away, made me look for something different was just the time. I just have to find something new. I don't know what new is going to be, but I know that this can't be it. There has to be something better for me than this.
Prior to working for Symmetry, my life was on the go all the time. It was children, work, 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 work.
I got my license in April, had my first appointment starting at the end of April, kept increasing my goals and have never looked back ever since. One of the best moves I ever made in my life.
I've always been a hard worker, but here I have the opportunity to work hard and be compensated fairly for that. So financially, I'm in a much different place than I was when I started.
I made about $59,000 part-time my senior year of college. After graduating, I more than doubled that. I can make with Symmetry in a week what I made in a month at the call center while working remotely.
For the first year here, in about 30 to 35 hours a week working, I got to go to bed with my wife every night of the week and ended right at six figures that first year.
When I first started Symmetry, I wasn't confident. I lost all my confidence. I've lost my belief in myself. But to me, the most impactful is actually not the money side. It's the person I've become in the process.
There was no life balance there. Now I have that work-life balance. I have the me time. I have the flexibility. I'm able to be the parents I want to be, and I'm financially blessed. So when you put those together, you have a great foundation.
This company has completely changed our life in so many different areas. Time, money, the freedom to choose.
And I knew that I had planted my flag in a place that was not only going to benefit my health, my life, my well-being, but also my children and my children's children and all the agents that came on board.
My life is almost unrecognizable from what it was 8 years ago.
The one thing that I have now that I didn't have before and didn't think that I would have at this age is a future and a career.
I have true financial freedom.
I have focus and confidence.
I have freedom.
I have fulfillment.
I have freedom.
Man,
Never gets
love our
tired.
videography team.
Yes. Never tiring hearing stories of transformation. And
Yeah, that was a powerful video, and appreciate everybody and all the leaders that participated and shared their story. And great seeing our good friend Matt up there leading it off. And Pogue, I know Pogue's out there listening. He's always tuned in, and just his story always reminds me of just how small this life is and how quick you can connect with people and how powerful a story can be. And for those that don't know, Jacob Pogue, one of the largest organizations in all of Symmetry, was a bartender just 8-9 years ago. And I've had in the last week 3 conversations that were sent to me by members of the corporate staff or just friends who went out to have a drink or went out to dinner and ended up sending me, I talked to this waiter, I talked to this waitress, I talked to this bartender, and they were interested in Symmetry, and I didn't know where to send them, Spivey. So could you find them a good home? And the power of the stories that you heard and the way the lives were changed, it's not just bartenders, guys, but Brandon and Casey and I talk about this all the time. The staff out.
Would you want to get something?
What's up, Gino?
Sorry about that.
No worries. We got Gino coming on here in just a minute, but everybody in that service industry, guys, you know, their income stops when their feet stop and they don't show up to the restaurant. They're not on salary. They're not getting paid, you know, a $60,000 a year wage, whether or not they show up and wait those tables or serve those drinks. And, you know, Jacob Pogue would be the first to tell you that his life behind that bar, although it was fun and he had a lot of great relationships and worked with some great people, his day started at 6 o'clock at night and he didn't get home till 2 in the morning. There's only so long that people can do that before they burn out or before their circumstances change. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. Look around for recruits. They're everywhere. People need this opportunity. And the power of the stories and the videos that you just watched just shows you what can happen here when someone's given a chance. So appreciate everybody for that. Well, Mr. Brian.
Yes, sir.
Brandon and Casey's traveling.
Yes.
I'm responsible for running the PowerPoint, and I would appreciate you jumping in on these leaderboards as well. This is typically when I will tell everybody I am not the best enunciator. Did I say that right?
You did indeed.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot some with one of the tougher ones, and
Sure.
with that PhD that Max just slaughtered on the last call.
As it should be. Push harder for dollars. That's all y'all have PhDs now. You're pushing harder for dollars. That's not all what it's about, but certainly it's a part. But skills break down under pressure. So now that you've put me under the gun here to help you with the leaderboards, I'll just let everybody know that, you know, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. But I'm in. So let's do it.
I know you're always game. You're always game. I'm trying to even see if I remember where the button is. Boom. Does that look good over there?
Looks good.
Nice. Can't wait to see Phil Robertson come on, Brad Sullivan, Bobby, and Sheila Shine. Going to have a great call. I know right after this, we're going to spend a few minutes, guys, too, on I wanted to speak with Mr. Gino Locklear. He's had some really good efforts with GX leads, and it's got some great information that I wanted him to share with you all on some of his findings and how we continue to look to get better there. And then some special time with you, Brian. I think we're going to get to hear some sneak preview on the coaching aspect, right?
Yeah, we got an exciting launch happening here in 2 weeks. So we're going to roll that out for certain.
Nice. Nice. Well, we'll start it off here with the top 10 new writers and total APV. Coming in at number 3, Mr. Ivory Watson. Number 2, Lawrence Nichols. And coming in at number 1 with a powerful first name, Mr. Todd Hoseth. What do you say there? D-Dubs, was that close?
Hoyseth?
Hoyseth?
Yeah.
Hoyseth. Either way, Todd.
Do you
Welcome,
know,
buddy.
Do you know Ivory? Do you know Ivory?
I don't know Ivory.
I just didn't know. You said Mr. I just want to give grace if you're out there, Ivory. I'm not certain if that's if you nailed that, but hopefully.
Ooh, that's a way to call me out, though. Congratulations to all our top new writers. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here. Top 10 overall producers, Mr. Scott Ann at number 4. Coming in at 3, Kelly Brown. Number 2, Lee Jedlika. And number 1, Carolina Morales. Love that name, Carolina. Beautiful name. Congratulations, Lee Jedlika. Again, continues on a streak of 10,000 plus APV over 2 years running. It's just absolutely phenomenal. I think it's actually approaching 3 years. Every week his upline texts me and reminds me of the exact record, and I forget because it's ridiculous at this point. The man is a machine, and his partnership with his wife, such a great team. They work together. Congratulations to everybody. Top 10 producers, app count. Number 3, Misty Hutton. Number 2, Jose Martinez. What's up, Joe? Coming in at number 1, Travis Wiley with 18 apps. Great job, Travis. Very well done. Top Medicare supplement producers. Coming in at number 3, Rebecca Rosado. Melinda Dean coming in at 2nd. And Daniel Armstrong in 1st place with 1952 APV. Top 5 disability income producers. Number 3, Casey Pfeiffer. Number 2, Winifred Brown. And number 1, Richard Rutledge. Nice job, Richard. Top 5 IUL producers. Number 3. Here you go, Brian.
Is that for me?
No, let's put Rasma on the spot.
Udays Quang coming in at number 3.
Nice.
Christina Quatraki coming in at number 2, and number 1 for last week, top IUL producer, Mr. Robert Glantz. Nice work, everybody.
Nice. I'm so glad you walked in right then.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
It's harder than it looks for sure. And I'm glad everybody's has understanding with us, but man, Brandon and Casey make it look easy at times, but
They sure do.
So good.
So good.
So good. So top 5 annuity producers. Coming in at number 3, Eric and Julie Bravula. Number 2, Audrey Bobbinger. Been seeing her name a lot. Great job out there, Audrey. Coming in at number 1, Kristen Tasker. $700,000 face amount. That's what I'm talking about, Kristen.
Nice work, Advanced Markets.
There you go. I don't know. There's nothing exciting about debt-free life. Let's just skip ahead.
Coming
Man, I
in
don't know.
at number 4, Miss Vicky Bacall at 7805. Number 3, Howard Bluetrich, first time on the leaderboard, implemented the new texting a couple weeks ago with the leads that were not answering to the phone, and wrote an awesome case that has a lot in the works at 8618. Nice work, Howard. No stranger to the leaderboard here. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Michael Scott Forehand, the DFL business concept guru at 14,160. And this name again, here we go, number 1.
Go, Audrey.
Audrey again at 59,504. Nice work, you guys. For those of you who were not on the DFL webinar yesterday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific, go back and rewatch it. Because we went over everything text automation from a first text message for a lead all the way through nurturing them to the appointment setting process, the confirmation, the reminders, making sure that they're ready and prepared with all their financial statements, seeing a ton of success. We have all that stuff up on HQ for best practices as well. It was just a moneymaker call without a doubt. And there's some things that you can absolutely use to implement that for some other digital leads as well, you guys. So go back and watch that recording. It was a game changer. We've got a lot of great feedback. So great job, DFL Nation. We're on the cusp of doing some great things. Got a lot of momentum, you guys.
Well done, guys. And we've heard so much excitement around DFL. And Rasma was so fired up post that call this week and was screaming through the walls. And the guy just brings such energy and passion. And guys, this text message thing, we've talked about it. Gino's going to talk about it in just a minute. We talked about it last Thursday about IA leads and call-in leads. Debt-Free Life's leading the way, talking about text messaging your leads. Guys, not only for multiple reasons, right? I've told us, we've all talked about, we're all going to push to the end of this year like we've never pushed before. Edward Pritchett led the way, wrote $20,000 on his own pen. I've actually updated all my licenses and contracts. And now that I'm understanding the text message game, I'm in an hour before I jumped on these national calls. I wrote my first policy that I've written in over 4 years.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're all in, guys. I'm going to be producing as well here from the home office when I find time. And this text messaging clients and setting these appointments is making it so much easier to contact. So please listen to the information. Please listen to the trends. Jump on this wave, and we appreciate you, Mike.
Absolutely.
Everything you're doing over
Let's
here.
go. Time to finish strong.
I mean, Brian, the guy doesn't bring any energy to the company.
I was gonna say, I'm not certain we can handle 2 connectors reading through all these leaderboards. This is getting a little too much for some of the guardians and pioneers. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving.
I imagine so. Why don't you take on recruits, Brian?
Yeah, top base shop recruits for certain. Gustavo Villagran, Gus at 7, tied for second. Ian Graham at 7, and Griff Martini, a nice Italian name, at 12. And then we got top direct recruits, BD at 27, Edward Pritchett 27, and Jacob Pogue, number 1, third C. Unbelievable.
I love it. I love these top base shop recruits. Griff Martin and team are absolutely on top of it right now. Congratulations, Pogue, always accustomed to leaderboards, and never a stranger to see Edward and Brian on top of the leaderboard for sure.
Yeah, and by the way, with Ian Graham, I just happened to get to spend some time with Ian a few weeks ago, and just it's not surprising to see Ian up there with the intention that he puts into his recruiting system. And if you weren't on the builders call, you should be next week, because Max is just lighting it up, and yeah, super practical and powerful tools coming downstream. So
absolutely, man. Love you, and good, just good intentional heart. So authentic, such a good time to be around too. And so moving on to licensed recruits though, guys, there you go again, Mr. Griff Martin. He has figured out, he has listened, he is going after licensed recruits and being very successful at it. I know he and Ashton and his entire organization have poured a lot of efforts into the recruiting to really get their business to the next level. Edward Pritchett right there helping guide Griff. So much good stuff going on in that organization. Second place, Larry and Ann Griffin, tied with Eric Ondrick with 3 licensed recruits. Great job, guys. And Batman. Of course, Mr. Edward Pritchett at the top with 20, Mr. Jacob Pogue with 17, and Marlon Faulkner with 11. B-Dubs, I believe when we were in Tennessee hanging out with Marlon Faulkner, he said he was about to get on this thing like he has not been on it in a long time.
He's the agent of transformation for sure, and he's my my Batman. We're Batmans together, so he's outstanding. There you go. Look at him again.
There, new riders in the base shop. Congratulations, Marlon Faulkner. Mr. Phil Robertson, going to hear from him here shortly. Dan and Diane Elmer, congratulations. Mr. Poe Weagle and the marvelous Mr. Sean Shannon. Nice job. Top direct new riders. Holy Lord. Seasoned new agents. For those of you that don't know, this means that you have joined the company, and in the first 6 weeks, you submitted 6 apps. And by doing so, you have statistically improved your chances of being successful in this business in the first year and on to creating a very profitable career by almost 90% by being on this list. It's a big deal. It's also a big deal, those names in parentheses, because they understand the importance and they're guiding, they're lifting these agents up and making sure they reach these marks. So congratulations, Harrison Jones, Heather Shepard, Jacob DeLorenzo, Jay Marzano, Jonathan Avril, Kelly Gonzalez, Leslie Graham, Majori McRae. How'd I do there?
Marjorie, you did great.
Majori or Marjorie? Yeah, that was close. Mary Tate, Renee Widmont, Sandra Jackson, Shamus O'Connor, Tamara Persifield, Terry Thomas, and William Easterly. You look like you wanted to correct me there, Brian.
No, not at all. I like unique names, and we got some great names this week.
Killing it. Congratulations to all you managers too for taking on that. Top weekly boards, key leader coming in at number 2, Kara DiNardo. Number 1, Douglas Dorr. Agency owner, number 2, Mino Glick. Number 1, Dana L. So good to see you, Miss Dana. Congratulations to all. And Stephen Brenez down there. I see you, buddy, and Brenez brothers. Appreciate you both. Agency directors, number 2, Brian and Rachel Jernigan. Also, number 1, Larry and Ann Griffin. Great job, agency directors. Look at there, Martin Newbauer and Joe Martinez representing the Cook Group. Congratulations, guys. Number 2 for regional agency directors, Melissa Weagle, edging out Trey Alderson Cloutier, who just edged out the Godfather. Look how close these are. My goodness. Tony You're a prolific writer, buddy. You couldn't have submitted one more app. Come on, man. Get it together, coach. Number 1, Eileen Balmer. Nice job with
Yes.
$163,000.
Representing those Pioneer Connectors. Let's go, Eileen. Love it.
Managing Vice President. We got Mike and Sarah Pappas, edging out Scott Summers. I can never see all the way to the right. Who topped out on Marlon Faulkner. Number 2, George and Janet Matthews. Coming in at number 1, tremendous leader, great friend, hilarious to be around, roots for the worst football team in all of college football, Mr. Chris Cook. Him and his poor Tennessee line. Chris Cook was trying to tell me last night, Brian Williamson. He was trying to tell me how unfair it is that his Vols have to play in the SEC, and therefore his team gets beat up and loses 4 or 5 games a year, but he should be ranked higher in the top 25 because if their team was in any other conference, they would have more wins.
Did you say voles? Like a vole?
Like Vols, I think. I don't really know it.
Is that a mole?
It's like a mole. It's like an orange pumpkin colored mole.
Is it really?
I think. No, I think it's for volunteers, but their actual mascot's a dog. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Okay. I was gonna say it sounds like not a good team. Anyway, go blue. Go blue, but
go blue. Mike and Jennifer Colburn, Sean Shannon, Scott Mank, all right there, so close. Mr. Jimmy Spildiner at 181,000. Fantastic job, Jimmy. And the Kyle and Lisa Kimbrell power couple, smashing at senior vice president level, $227,000 APV. Top executive vice presidents, Darren Stubbs. Darren Stubbs over there working hard. Maybe you figured out a couple of other things and interesting opportunities and how to leverage a bird dog bonus too. So we see you out there, Darren. Miranda Martin, always lovely to see. The Princess of Awesome. And Carl Miller at 121,000. Great job, Carl. Carl's one of my favorite people on this planet. Such a big heart.
That guy's been super intentional about his own personal development really consistent too, for a creative connector too, that can struggle with consistency, as he would tell you. Like, he's been super consistent over the last couple of years in so many different ways. So bravo, Carl.
Great job, everybody, and associate partners, Keyshawn, Ryan and Michelle Miller, Ashley Tarr, Mr. Jacob Pogue, the bartender himself. Go on, Lynn Watkins, $632,000. Great job, Lynn. So good, buddy. Senior partners out there, Kevin Purdy, the Smith Agency, the fearless leader, Brian Delaney, my forever upline, Mr. Danny and Sandy Young, and good heavens, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Edward Pritchett, $926,000. If you're scoring at home, I think it's important that you understand that was for a week. That's not a month, guys. That's the week. That's an incredible legacy of impact that Edward's building. And Mr. Marshall Whaling, the managing partner of all of Symmetry, absolutely killing it. One of the true, if you get to spend time with Marshall Whaling, you're extremely blessed. Sit and talk and hear the wisdom that he shares, the heart, the intentionality to which he serves his team. It's really unlike anything you've ever seen. And we're so grateful to be in partnership with Marshall and everything that he does for the organization. Top directs, Kevin Purdy just edged out Keyshawn Monteith, Edward Pritchett at 161,000, and Jacob Pogue at 190,000. Top base shops, look out. Ian Graham moving up the ranks. Mr. Joe Martinez is on the move. And of course, Fast Eddie Pritchett at 54,000 with his base shop. Yes, that's not a typo. Eddie understands that one of the most profitable activities you can do is build a base shop. One of the quickest ways you can smooth out your journey and your business to have stability is to constantly be building your base shop. And it just so happens to be one of the most profitable things you can do too. Nice job, Edward. Announcements. It's promotion time this month. We're including promotions for the slingshot and calculating that bonus. Please have all promotion forms signed and sent via HQ no later than Monday, the 18th. Very
All right.
important.
We'll do it.
Upcoming events, you've got the carrier webinar with National Life Group tomorrow talking about mortgage protection with permanent insurance, the ultimate and final expense training, the one and only director of final expense, Mr. Gary Keith. Monday, October 11th at 11, you've got the sales training call is canceled due to the observation of Indigenous People Day. Ooh, I about got tripped up on that one too. D-dubs. Tuesday, we'll be right back with Debt-Free Living, hosted by the spark plug known as Mike Resma. So one quick second before we hop into the coaching, B-dubs. Gino, do I got you out there?
You can stop your screen share too, Todd, because I've got the slides on my end. I can share on mine so everybody can see Gino's dapper look today with that hat on. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Mr. Brian.
You ever seen Gino not look dapper?
No, it's not fair. Like that whole tribe is just, it's just not fair. I stand out like a sore thumb for certain.
You and I belong more like in the J.C. Penney's,
Yeah, that's right.
catalog maybe.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm into that Vineyard Vines vibe now. That's my jam.
Nice. Well, Gino, I appreciate you hopping on, buddy, and ask Gino to be on and just speak for 5-6 minutes and kind of pick his brain a little bit, guys, because we're constantly trialing new leads. Quility is trying to bring in as much opportunity as humanly possible for agents to be able to work whenever they want to work, as much as they want to work. What we do know is that direct mail mortgage protection leads is we're doing everything humanly possible to continue to get better and grow that. But we're also in a race against time, guys, where it's just a fact. Fewer and fewer people are going to their mailbox and receiving a card and filling it out and mailing it back. There's not much that we can do about that. So what we can do is maximize that source while we have it, while we continue to challenge ourselves to grow and try new lead sources. And that doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. That means we're going to have to go through some tough trials. That means we're going to have to try some things that aren't going to create the success we want right out of the gate. And DX leads is one of those situations. DX leads are something that are known as internet leads. A lot of our competitors, this is the only type of leads they know. This is the only type of leads that some of the larger IMOs out there actually get access to. If you're not amongst the top 100 producers at the company, this is what they fund their business with. And so there's also opportunity for us to get better and manage the DX leads that are coming in. And that's why it's so important that we disposition our leads the best we can in as close to real time as possible right now, guys, because marketing is constantly looking at these leads and constantly trying to figure out which ones are working. If we flip this switch, what happens? If we turn this switch off, what happens over here? They're constantly looking for ways to improve. And the best way we get lifetime feedback is through op and the disposition of those leads. But I asked Gino to come on just for the simple reason of I went to Mark Palmer and his data analysis team and said, send me a list of everybody that has bought DX leads. And I want to know closing ratio and how many leads they actually got. And long story short, Gino was right there in the top 15. He's not at the top. He is, I think he will tell you and share with you here in just a few minutes that there are certain percentages that he's noticing and trends that he's finding and he's constantly improving. But I wanted to have somebody on to talk about their experience with these DX leads, both when they started out versus what they're doing now, what they've adjusted, and give you a little bit of metrics about where you should be getting to if you are buying these DX leads. So Gino, I appreciate you being on, buddy, and sharing the heart and the truth.
Absolutely, Todd. I just appreciate you guys creating a place where I'm able to be on here today. So extremely grateful.
Yeah, man. So tell me a little bit about your experience, just straight truth from DX Leads, and kind of where you started and what was your first experience?
Absolutely. And first of all, again, Gino Locklear, direct to, the one and only, Jordan Hunt within the Delaney and Edward Pridgett hierarchy. So I extremely, got really, really excited about the DX Leads when it was announced. And as soon as they said that we can go ahead and start up SLO, I immediately went ahead and maxed it out 50 a week, just to go ahead and get a shot on it. And if you look at it, I mean, you're getting 50 brand new leads for what, $8, $9 a piece. What was that? 450 bucks a week. And, but from what I've seen so far, Todd, within the DX Lead is you're definitely not going to get in touch with as many of the clients, obviously, because, they're doing everything, digital. You don't know exactly, just like any other lead, you don't know exactly when they're going to be available. But I do believe if you buy 50 of them, without a doubt, you're going to write a minimum of, $4,000 to $5,000 a week in production, which is a huge return on your investment.
Right, $4,000 to $5,000 worth of business after a $450 investment. I know, Gino, you talked to me too, and I love it. You always track the metrics. Your whole team's always been great at that. Love how you lead in that way. You also were speaking to me about be prepared that you might see a little bit more final expense opportunity than potential mortgage protection. Talk a little bit about what you've seen there and how you've adjusted your script to kind of accommodate for that.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've seen with the DX Lead is it is more or less a final expense market. You're dealing with, families that typically don't have the same, financial standing as a MP lead does. You're dealing with an entirely different financial group of people. What I'm seeing is that the average case, and again, this is just from the sample size that I've had so far, the average case of a policy is roughly about $500 a year, that $55 price range per month. But with the script, I'm still using the exact same, wording within the script. The only thing I'm changing is I'm just taking out where it says, I'm calling you about the term life insurance you requested. Now I'm just saying, hey, I'm reaching out to you guys about your recent request with us online for life insurance. And then, just finishing the script out, getting their information and then asking them, Todd, what exactly were you looking for? Were you looking for enough just to take care of, final expenses, or did you have a certain number in mind that you're trying to leave, for your friends and family or for your family?
So good. And I love that you stick to the scripts and adjust just slightly to leave out that term, and that accommodates much more for the final expense. And you said about 50 leads a week, averaging about a $500 APV should return about $4,000 to $5,000 in premium off of that $400 spend. What about your contacts, Gino? I know you spoke that DX leads are much more affordable. They're cheaper. We should expect to call and dial and have to be more aggressive to get those contacts. So what kind of metrics do you see there, and how specifically are you getting people on the phone?
So doing a number of things. I'm definitely seeing that, I'm putting in, more dials, which that's okay. I mean, it's a part of the process, right? If I buy 50 of them, I'm typically going to look at speaking to about 30 of them within that dial session in that 2-day period. Obviously, over the course of the week, whenever you get your new leads in, you can obviously go back through them, get some more contacts, but definitely looking at, getting in contact with roughly about 30 of them, being able to book that 12 to 15 out of that. With that being said, I'm still doing the same way with the MP leads, still triple dialing, sometimes I even calling them 4 times. And, if I can't get in touch with the client, I just screenshot their lead and I just send it over to them a text. And I'll say, Todd, this is Gino Locklear with the Life Insurance Agency. Just giving you a call about your recent request with us online for life insurance. Just wanted to make sure everything here is correct before we started working on your file. Give me a call at your earliest convenience. Something very simple, something simple. And getting a response back on that. But it's just like anything else where you get objections from clients. Just because you have a rebuttal doesn't mean you're going to book an appointment. So we're still going to work with the numbers.
Yeah, man. I love that. I love the text message. I love the screenshot of the lead, the verifying what you're calling for. And just appreciate you coming on and sharing, Gino. I think your close ratio is, like I said, in the top 12, 15 of the company right now. The reason why we wanted to talk to Gino, guys, we didn't pick the highest close ratio person. We picked the person that had the most amount of leads come in so far. And if you were to say, Gino, what's a good expectation? If you're really working the leads, like you're working the leads and you're sticking to the scripts, you're dialing, you're texting, you're doing these things, what's a rough estimate in your opinion that would be a good close ratio on DX leads?
If you book in the appointment and actually sitting the appointment, I'm noticing it's more or less around that, maybe about 70 to 80% close ratio. I mean, it's almost as if you book the appointment and they show up, because they're telling you exactly what they want on that first phone call. And as long as you can find something to fit within their budget, again, you are dealing with families that are, don't have the same finances as an MP lead does. I mean, it's more or less a final expense market. So as long as you're able to find a program exactly what they're looking for in the budget, I'm seeing anywhere between a 70 and 80% close ratio.
Appreciate that, Gino. Appreciate your leadership, buddy. Appreciate you sticking through the early times and continuing to help us get better, and everybody else that's out there working DX leads. If you're not having the same success as Gino, guys, I hope you listened in today. I hope you took notes. Try some of these different things. Reach out to your upline. Get some coaching. It's a wonderful opportunity, and that market's only going to continue to grow. So the better you can become at teaching yourself, so that you can teach others how to work this type of lead, the more success your agency is going to have. So we appreciate you, Gino.
Absolutely, Todd. Appreciate you guys.
Mr. Brian.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thanks, Gino. I always love listening to Gino. It's so simple, practical, and imitatable, right? So good stuff.
Yes, he lays such a good blueprint, but I think the part that you mentioned about duplicatable too is Gino comes like he's as authentic as they come. The part about Gino is everybody sees the polished bright guy that always looks so sharp, but what you don't always notice is he is about what he talks about and his effort. He has a tenacity and he actually gives 100% effort, and that separates a lot of people that have all the same skills. Gino's just willing to do the work. So.
That's right. Well, that's a perfect segue into what I've been reflecting on and get to set up today. So I think, one of the most frustrating things for us is when we put in just enough activity to feel like we're working hard, and then it ends up hardly working, right? It's just on that cusp of like, man, I'm working really hard, but it's just hardly working, and we get stuck in that. And we have to ask ourselves, why would we continue to do that, right? If we're at a place where we're working really hard, but it's hardly working. And I think it's because we allow the two thieves of business results into our businesses, right? The thief of independence and the thief of innocence. And right, the thief of independence is when we as leaders and producers say, I know what to do, right? I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to figure it out on my own. And the problem with that is that we know, like we think we know, and it can keep us from listening to the wisdom of people who've gone before us. Now, the problem of the thief of innocence is that it's actually a better problem, right? Is that we don't know, but we probably want to know, and we might be searching, and we're trying to do the best we can, but we're really ready to learn and apply. So both of those can steal our business results, right? And so what I'm really excited to roll out today and launch is something that we've been dialing in over the past number of months in terms of our whole overarching strategy for coaching, training, education. We've been really refining that. We are aligning that over time here with our business intelligence and data science. So we're going to be rolling out things that are very, very simple, practical, and powerful. And one of those things that I get to launch today and introduce you to, a new friend of ours, is we're calling this the Ignite Performance 10-week challenge with Quality Coach Justin Finney. We're going to be launching this the week of October 18th. And in just a minute, we're going to give you a very specific breakdown of what this 10-week challenge looks like, why we're doing it. But before we do that, I do want to ask Justin and Wendy Tanner to go ahead. You guys can unveil, because I want to make a introduction of Justin and let Wendy talk about her experiences as well. So Wendy, good to see you, first of all, from Pennsylvania today. I think is that where you're calling from?
Exactly. Hi, Brian. Nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Good to see you. And Justin, I just want everybody to know it wasn't intentional that Justin and I are somewhat twinning. But Justin, so grateful to have you as a quality coach. And I'll talk a little bit more about you, and then I'll baton pass back over. But how's your day been over there in the Washington area?
It's great today. Thanks for having me on, Brian. Appreciate it.
And that would be the Pac Northwest Washington, right? Where do you live? That's exactly? Right.
Eastern Washington.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, it was about, I don't know, probably 5-6 weeks ago now. Brad Smith gave me a call and he said, I'm really about ready to introduce you to Justin Finney. Now, I had already heard about Justin Finney because Brad had pulled Justin Finney into his agency quite a while ago to begin coaching and training some of his leaders. And I'd heard about the results, right? You can't argue with the results. And we love seeing results in the work that we do. And Wendy is one example of that I'll talk about in just a minute. But Justin was already a legend in my mind. So Brad and I got to talking, and he made the introduction to Justin. And it was, in a way, he's been a quality coach because he's been coaching Wendy and other agents. But we decided to make that formal and invite him onto the team. And gosh, I've been blown away. First of all, just at Justin's heart, just to help people and serve people. But he's an expert in this industry. He comes out of a background that I'll let him talk about, from the insurance space into the coaching space, even into the Symmetry space. But Justin, really, really grateful for you for not only for just the skill sets that you bring as a coach, but your heart for helping people and making an impact. So every conversation so far, because even Justin and I had to talk about the transactional parts of this, but every part of a conversation with Justin has left with, I just want to help people. I just want to add value. I just want to serve, and his results show it. So Justin, I would love for you just to spend a couple minutes, give us your kind of career arc in a nutshell, and then we'll talk about this 10-week Ignite Performance Challenge that we're launching.
Cool. Thanks for the introduction, Brian. That was really nice. As Brian said, my background is finance, and a lot of you probably already know I started out as a financial advisor over 20 years ago and built my own RIA business, very successful in that, and did a lot of life insurance with that company. And then as I segued out of the financial industry into coaching, I really gravitated toward just helping people be and do their best. And I've always wanted to excel and been at the top in sales, but my mindset started to shift from, just as a lot of the leaders do in this company. And as I speak with Brian and Todd Spivey and Brandon and Casey and Meredith and everyone in this company, and you could hear it in Max's voice this morning, wants to help other people. And that's the beauty of what we get to do. And that's really what I do, is I'm always looking for that person. I call them number one draft picks that they themselves don't even know what they're capable of yet. Sometimes they don't believe it just yet. So it's just trying to pull that out of the bag to get them to be able to do what I know they're capable of doing.
Outstanding. So, hey, talk a little bit more specifically about just your insurance career and what that's looked like in sales and so on.
Yeah. So I was with Northwestern Mutual for about 9 years. And then I was with LPL Financial, which is more of a financial group, for about 6 years. And with both of those groups, I did a lot of telephone sales. I lived in a really small town on a reservation of about 1,000 people. And people were like, man, there's no way that you're going to be able to make this RIA thing work. And we were consistently in the top 20% of all financial advisors in the country. But it was because I was phoning people in Seattle that had a lot of money, and I was working with them over the phone in a period of time where that wasn't really the norm. So I developed some very good skills around developing trust and being able to do large transactions, high ticket. When I met Brad Smith, that was one of the reasons that he wanted me to come on and speak to the group about telephone sales, is right when COVID started kicking in. So my background is mostly around life insurance planning. The coaching that I've done with different groups, I've been brought in to specifically coach financial advisors or insurance agents on not just the process, but little language things, people that we've been able to take from just barely scratching 6 figures to 7 figures, was mostly around mindset, belief, and their thought of helping other people and getting rid of their own thoughts about themselves. Most of the time as salespeople, we think too much. This business is so simple. We just have to break it down, chunk it down, keep it simple, get a really clear vision, get accountability, know what actions we need to take, develop beliefs and associations around those actions, get really committed to doing it, and just do it. Visualize it, believe it, and do it. And that's just a little bit of the background.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're going to come back in a minute. I mean, I think, Wendy, we'll circle back in just a second, but thinking through, Wendy's best month was 11K. Brad pulls you into a call to train on virtual sales, and she ends up with a 57K month. And then I was looking at your year-to-date numbers, Wendy, and you've been consistent in your in production, and excited about what you're going to share in a minute. But I want to walk everybody through this 10-week challenge that we're going to get to, you'll get to experience with Justin. So this is launching the week of October 18th. And what I want to share with you all are the 2 cohorts that we're going to be launching with this. So before I get into the details of this, I want you to know that since I've been on board, we've been working on just really, really thinking deeply and strategically about everything that we do when it comes to coaching, training, education, Quality U, and we're going to have some really exciting rollouts that are coming. So I've been working hard with a lot of our top people on just the details of some of these systems and processes. But we've really identified 4 phases off of the process guides work we've done in the past. We call them activate, accelerate, advance, and achieve. And in those 4 phases, we're going to be intentionally launching everything we do within that paradigm. And so there's going to be things that happen now that are cohort specific, level of leadership specific. So for example, if you are a key leader, you would not go to the RAD coaching session. You go to the key leader session, right? So what we're rolling out today are two cohorts that correspond with 2 of our levels. So we've got Activate 102, which it's going to have a focus on mindset, basic skills, and recruiting. And who this is for are for people that are newer, right? So if you've written at least 6 apps, we didn't say SNA, but if you've written at least 6 apps, you're committed to this business and you want to make an investment in yourself, if you're at that level or up to team leader, you're going to get the opportunity to step into a cohort. We've got limited space for this, up to 20 people. And we're going to launch that cohort every Tuesday from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern time. And you can see the cost there. Now, this is something incredible that we've gotten to do, which is increase the quality of our offerings and our coaches and decrease the cost, right? So some of you listening to this are like, man, that's less than what I've paid for coaching or training. And so that's the good news. We're always trying to serve you all and make this the best, highest possible value add. So I'll give you a little bit more details about the kinds of things that will be covered in both of these cohorts, but that's the snapshot for that one. The Accelerate 202 cohort is going to be basic skills and systems to scale. And this is actually specifically just for key leaders. So if you're a key leader and you want to make an investment in yourself and in your business, that's going to happen every Thursday from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, starting the week of October 18th. So to give you a little bit of the sample topics, we won't talk through all of these, but we are aligning these things. Justin and I have worked really hard together over the past few weeks, just making sure this is tightly aligned to the systems that we're launching. And so you're going to be covering topics that you're seeing up on the screen here, from breaking your bullseye into KPIs, into tracking, accountability. Justin, why don't you just for a minute talk about the kind of things that that stand out from this list real quick, so people get a sense of some of the topics that you're going to be hitting on.
Yeah. So just real quickly, when people come into a business and they say you need to do this and you need to do that, you need to do this, and what are your goals and all those things, we really want to start with vision of what do you want, why do you want it, how are you going to get it, and then break that down into the goals, which becomes the bullseye. And then with that, and a lot of the agency owners are already doing this in some form or fashion, is really getting the belief that accountability and tracking is what is the glue that holds it together. That's what gets people to where they want to go. The people that are at the top in the company are tracking, they're doing the activity that they need to do. And we talk a lot about associations around that activity. So why aren't they picking up the phone? Why aren't they doing the meetings? And we start to help them understand that there's a lot more pain associated with not performing the activity than doing the activity itself.
It's great.
So
that's a great
how they
stopping
spend their
point.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know we can go on because you and I have talked a lot about these things. But again, we're going to be measuring these results. You all will be able to kind of track some of these. You can get an idea of getting repeatable results. How do you automate, scale your income, multiply your time? So, whoops, I'm going to go back to before I have you share. So your call to action, if you're interested in this in either cohort, what all you're going to need to do, and I'll talk about this again next week on the national call, just not as in detail. All you need to do is email coaching@quility.com. So you might want to take a screenshot of this visual while it's up here. And if you know, just based on what you've heard already, you're like, man, that's me. I'm that 6 steps, the team leader level. I want to get in on something for 10 weeks that's going to up my production and start me thinking about what's next. Just email coaching@quility.com and say, I want in on that activate cohort, or coaching@quility.com and say, I want in on that accelerate cohort for key leaders. You can, of course, also say, hey, give me some more information. We're happy to provide that. But before we land, Wendy, thanks again. I'd love for you to just talk about what's it been like working with Justin, coaching with this character, and how that's benefited you.
Absolutely. Wendy Tanner. I am direct to Kate Ware, part of the Jeremy Whitaker agency, Brad and Matt Smith, and Edward Pritchett. Thank you so much for being here. Justin is like part of my family now. When I don't have my call with him every week, I don't feel whole, right? So I met him back in probably March, I think it was, when Brad had him on a call, right when the pandemic hit, to teach us how to do telesales. And I remember driving back from an appointment down the turnpike, recorded the entire thing, went home, wrote the whole script out because I had a phone appointment the next day, read it word for word, did exactly what he said, sold my first, policy over the phone, and never looked back. It just kept building thereafter, and as did our friendship. And he would come on some calls and help our team, grow ourselves. And 10 months ago, I decided it was time to grow myself in many different ways: leadership, at home, as a mom, as a friend, you name it. And I thought, well, really the person I gel with the most was Justin. He was my natural choice. And of course, he said yes, and, we started this journey together that has made me so much of a better person. I can't think of somebody who's more understanding, more relatable than Justin is. When you're having a good day, he's there to empower you. When you're having a bad day, he's there to empower you. He can bring me from orbit back to earth in 10 seconds. He doesn't let me off the hook. He keeps bringing me back. He'll let me go a little bit, gives me a short leash, and brings me back. He holds me accountable. And when I need to perform, he's there. Review it with me. What do you need from me? Every day I get a text message from him. And that's what I look for in somebody. And I can't think of anybody else that would have been able to get me from where I was to where I am today. And the journey that we're going to continue to go on, understanding myself, understanding what my goals really are, my vision, and knowing me well enough to be able to say, do you really think that's going to work? Why don't we look at it a different way? And he's not afraid to do that, to call me out and be truthful with me and get me on the right track. And I think that's what's been so important for me on this journey with him. And I look forward to where these years are going to go. And I would encourage anybody, highly encourage anybody to reach
That's
out
awesome.
and take advantage of it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just final thoughts on this. I think just having that guide by the side to with industry expertise. I mean, Justin was a Symmetry agent as well for a while and knows our world, right? And so there's some superpower that I've already seen in Justin with his just simple, practical way he looks at things. So again, email coaching@quility.com. We will be launching cohorts for more advanced levels for RAD 110 and beyond. But you're going to see a lot more intention, a lot more strategy, and a lot more data science and BI integration into everything we're doing. So best ahead, Justin. Thank you so much. And Wendy, thank you so much. And Todd, back over to you. I know we've taken a bit more time. So we'll,
you guys did great. And I had an opportunity to speak to Justin and meet with him, and just a tremendous guy, and so even keel, level-headed, and just laser focused intent in conversation and looking to make an impact. And I enjoyed my time with Justin. And I know, Wendy, I hear what you're saying, and it's such a blessing for all of us to have access to resources like this. And so thankful for you, Brian Williamson, for building this team and intentionally building it with people that we would want to follow and that we would want to feel comfortable going to with something that can be very vulnerable about our own business. And sometimes having to look in the mirror and notice that the only thing holding us back from achieving everything we want to achieve is us. And sometimes you need somebody to call that out. And so I just appreciate this program and everything that you got going, buddy.
Yeah. So now I'll give my final thought, which is, these are cohorts that are launching, but we have a range of coaches that are on a spectrum of great to exceptional for all sorts of different things. So always reach out. Again, it's very simple, coaching@quility.com, and we'll get you connected. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Wendy and Justin.
Thank you.
Mr. Phil Robertson, you're out there, buddy.
Yes, sir. Man, what a call.
Yeah.
I really feel like these things almost every week. It's like a mini conference when you watch these things. It's like something new is rolled out every single week. It's just amazing to see it.
We're so blessed with so many powerful individuals that are surrounded around Quility that want to pour back into others. And you're exactly right, buddy. And we just appreciate you and looking what you and your team's been able to do and the growth that you've been experiencing, and having these fine folks on with you that have been a part of this agency that's been exploding and growing over the last year. And so excited what you have, guys, brewing for the future.
Absolutely. Todd, thank you once again for the opportunity. You and Brian are doing an amazing job handling everything today. And again, just so grateful, so honored and thankful to be able to be able to host this and to be able to give back a little bit to some of the things that have been poured into us over the years since we got to Symmetry. For those who don't know, my name is Phil Robertson, a regional agency director, direct to Jacob Peterson out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and of course, Mike and Sarah Pappas out of Franklin, Tennessee, and of course, a part of the Danny Young hierarchy. And again, we're just honored and thrilled to be able to do a little bit to give back. We'll be cognizant of everyone's time and so forth. But I'm just literally in awe each day as I get out of bed and realize the opportunity that we have here at Symmetry. I was a little bit of a veteran to this industry before I found Symmetry, or before Symmetry found me. And man, the things that we have that are already available and the things that are gonna be made available to us going down the road, this is an amazing opportunity that I'm so thankful to be a part of, and so grateful to be able to take others and see this thing begin to impact their life as well. And that's where you get the real satisfaction of what this thing's all about.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to, if it's okay, I want to unveil a couple of guests that I've got, unless there's something else you guys.
No, Phil,
right.
I'm going to turn it over to you guys, let you run with it, and I'll be over here listening, and I'll jump back in when you guys wrap up.
All right. That sounds good. Well, if we can get Mr. and Miss Bobby and Sheila Shine and Brad Sullivan, you guys can unveil yourselves. So I'll just give a real quick introduction. There we all are. Good deal. It's good to see everybody. Again, I'm just so incredibly grateful and so thankful both for this opportunity, but also for the people that we get to do business and life with on a daily basis. And I've got 3 people that are with me today that are just such an integral part, both of my organization and also a part of our life. These people they're not just business associates, they're like family to us. And I've often said part of the process, and what I love so much about the Symmetry opportunity is the fact that you get to build the relationships. You know, that saying that we have around here, what those core values of, you know, how that people matter and you know, people come first and those things, that when that really begins to take hold of who you are on the inside. And as Danny Young says, when you not just get into Symmetry, but when Symmetry actually gets into you, man, what a difference this thing has to make. So Brad Sullivan and Bobby and Sheila Shine, I'm going to give you guys in just a few moments an opportunity to just kind of introduce yourself, tell a little bit about your story. And we're going to talk today again about a concept that we've been, even at the previous company, before we came to Symmetry almost 4 years ago now, that we kind of took hold of and made it a part of our DNA. The 3 C's of success here at Symmetry, we believe are coachability, being coachable, being committed to the process of what the Symmetry system is, and finally being consistent in that process. And we're going to each share one of those 3 C's with you here today. And I just want to take just a moment to kind of tell a little bit of the backstory of how I got to Symmetry and things of that nature for those who don't know. And you know, it's just one of those things in life where you just kind of keep waking up every morning, pinching yourself, realizing that, you know, all the things you practiced all of those years are finally coming to fruition for you. I saw other people experience success in this industry, and was at a former company, was dedicated and committed to that process for almost a decade of my life, but never ever really saw it come to any type of fruition. And to really now see that the efforts that are being poured into a system that Symmetry has, that you can commit to that and really then see the efforts. And you know, I tell people all the time, I am not the same person that I was when I arrived here a little over 3 years ago. Our business is definitely not the same as it was. And just the opportunity that Symmetry has given me to grow and then to become I was the mentee looking up to mentors, to then transition into that phase in life where you get to become the mentor and you get to help pour back into the lives of others. Man, what a significant difference that allows you to make in your life and so forth from that. So again, I was industry experienced. I came into the business from being at a previous company before you know we arrived here, and I was a pastor for almost a decade prior to that. You know, so I had a heart to see and help and serve people and those things. But you know, it just pastoring, problem with that, in most cases you do a lot of helping, but you don't make a lot of income. You know, that goes along with those things. So I was disillusioned, kind of done with the industry, and kind of gotten out, and was kind of felt like I had been misled in a lot of different ways at the previous company where we were. And Jacob Peterson, somehow, I'll never really understand how it happened. He found an old resume of mine somewhere through some service and contacted me, and he and I just kind of made a connection and shared a couple of hour conversation really on our first call. And his comment to me was, he said, man, give us 90 days. And if this thing isn't everything that you think it could be, he said, then just wash your hands of it and be done. And that was in November of 2017, and thank God that we took hold of that opportunity and stuff. It's changed our life, both from a financial standpoint, from a growth standpoint. And I thought about this, and I wasn't really going to say anything about it, but just to kind of give you the story of the impact and the difference that Symmetry can make in people's lives. You know, our family, and it's like everybody else, and everybody goes through their different challenges and their different things that happen in life. But I just want to share just for a moment a couple of things that are kind of on my heart, to just show what Symmetry can do, not just from a practical standpoint, but from the everyday life of how it can make an impact in the lives of people who choose to take advantage of this opportunity. Many of you know, and I've shared this at different things and places where I've been able to have the privilege to speak, but my son, my wife and myself and my two kids, I've got a 30-year-old son and a 23-year-old daughter. And this past weekend, we took a break and were able to go up into the mountains of around Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, just for a little weekend break. But here's what made it special. We were celebrating my 50th birthday, my wife and I's 33rd anniversary, along with my daughter's birthday, and then my son's birthday, and he'll be 30 a week from today. And the thing that made this trip so amazing was, for the first time in 13 years, my wife and myself and my 30-year-old son and my daughter got to go away, and my son was completely clean and sober for the first time that we've been off together in 13 years. And he's battled an addiction problem for the last 10 or 11 years of his life, and seriously for the past 10 or 11 years, about 13 years total. But here's why I even bring this up. We had an opportunity when he chose to get serious about the process, and he overdosed and almost died just in June of this year. And when he chose to get serious about the process, he was uninsured as far as health insurance and things of that nature. And if you know anything about rehabs, they're not a cheap thing to encounter. But because of the opportunity that Symmetry had allowed for us to be able to provide for, as far as our family is concerned, when that window of opportunity opened in his life, the funds and the means to put him in a place that would transform and change his life for the rest of his life was available to us. And so I report to you proudly today that my son is 126 days clean today, and is now gone on staff with the facility in which he has spent the last 4 months of his life in training to be a counselor and things of that nature. And my point to that is that wouldn't have been possible if 3 guys hadn't chosen a little over a decade ago to put together a company like Symmetry Financial Group. And so what I would say to you today is, take advantage of this opportunity, because it's not just the money that you make, it's the impact and the lives that get to be changed as a result of the money and the imprint and the impact that you get to have by doing what it is that we do and following a system that Symmetry has put in place. So with that being said, I as Brian Williams said earlier, I'm a systems guy. I like to follow a proven system. I ask myself really 2 questions when someone brings an idea to me. I ask myself, first off, is it a system that works? In other words, has it been proven to work? And number 2, is it duplicatable? Because at the end of the day, I realize and understand in my life that I'm not talented enough to be able to have all the plates spinning. I need to follow a system that I can teach. And that's what I love about the Symmetry system, is that anybody can duplicate what it is that we do. So real quick, I'm gonna cover this first one as far as the 3 C's, and that first one being coachability. And then I'll open up and let Brad share some things and tell a little bit about his story. But again, coachable is, I think, one of the most important aspects of coming into a system. I don't care if you're brand new or if I was having a conversation just this past week with Mike Pappas, and you get to a certain level, you feel like you think you know some things, but in that conversation with Mike, I realized even then just how much there was a need for even myself to be more coachable in the things that I need to be doing. So, the reason people have experienced success here, if you're newer, is because they've done some things to follow a proven system that's been put in place. So when your growing upline tells you need to do something, the reality is you just need to be coachable to the system and kind of do. Danny Young said this very simply, and I love how simple Danny makes things when he makes the statement, if you want to see the success and achieve the success that others are achieving and having, find someone who's done it and go do what they did. And it's really just that simple at the end of the day. So I tell people all the time, we don't need anyone here coming in and trying to recreate the wheel. The reality is the Symmetry system works. We just need you coming in and being coachable to that system, buying leads and making dials and following this proven scripts that have worked. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. There's 3 or 4 things that we do here that we master here, and you just need to follow that simple proven system. The other thing that I think is so important in this is that you have to check in with your growing upline. Max Day said it earlier on the call that we had on the builders call. He said, if he didn't check in with his wife every 3 or 4 days, she might not even still be married to him anymore. So no different with your upline. You got to check in. You got to, those who are in the system, the ones who as leaders, the ones who we know to spend our time with are the ones who raise their hand and say, hey, coach, put me in the game. So, you're never going to bother us too much that it's a bother, if that makes sense. So that's what we're here for, is to do that. So I would just encourage everybody, is to just simply come into a proven system and be coachable to that system. Don't try to put your spin on it. Yeah, you're going to have your personality and your things, but come in and just really be coachable to what it is the system is trying to accomplish for you, and allow yourself to be molded to what the system has to offer, instead of you trying to change everything that the system offers to you. So that's the first step in that process. And you can quickly identify those who are willing to be coachable. They really stand out in that process pretty quickly. So I want Brad, if he would, to kind of unmute himself, and I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself and talk a little bit about how it was that he came to Symmetry, and then let him talk about the second C, which is the C of commitment.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Brad Sullivan out of Atlanta, Georgia, direct to Phil Robertson and the Pappas Agency, and just extremely grateful and honored to be on this call. This is a big deal. So I look back at my life about 18 months ago, and it's like, wow, God has really turned some things around. So very, very grateful. My background, grew up here in Atlanta pretty much from a young age, and had a pretty good life. Got involved with sports from a young age, and became a tennis pro. Played college D1 and loved it, and came back and coached for 11 years, from about 2008, and for 11 years. But during that time, I met my wife, and it was a big deal for me to be around. My parents got divorced from a young age, and my dad was in sales, so he traveled a lot. And I didn't get to see him a lot. My mom was busy working 3 jobs, raising 3 kids, so there wasn't a whole lot of time spent as a family. I'm a middle child, and so that was a big deal for us. So I was coaching tennis, and it was a great career, but it definitely had a ceiling of really how far I could go. And I look back at my schedule now. I was getting to work at 9 a.m. and coaching for a few hours, and then I had about a 3 or 4 hour gap where you'd wait for the kids to get home, and I'd coach till 8:30 and get home at 9 o'clock. So really, I was gone from 9 to 9. I mean, you don't really have enough time in the middle of the day to really do a whole lot. So you just kind of hang out or find something to do. So we were looking for something, and it's about 4 years ago now. I met a couple that was in the industry, and I was always keep my options open, and they were very successful. It was a nice $1 million gated community, and they're in the insurance world. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to hear out what you guys do. So got involved with them, got my license, and I worked the business for 2 years part-time. And I always say I learned a lot, but made a little. And but at that point in time, my wife had some health issues during this time, and it really set us back financially. So I kind of took the leap of faith and just said, you know what, I'm going to go full time in this. And I jumped in and did a year full time, and made $50,000. And but not that that's not decent money, but I was making over 70 as a tennis pro. So we saw a big decline in what I was bringing in, and my wife was in grad school, and we had to come out of pocket for a lot of medical bills and things like that. So we ended up losing our house in February of 2020, right when COVID was hitting. And I'll tell the story real quick because it's a very powerful story. I'm a big networker, always, because I mean, I had to be. The company before, there were no leads. I had to network and generate my own leads and all that. And I had been talking with Phil Robertson here. I looked back the other day, Phil. I met with my dad and my grandma for breakfast, and I was telling the story to my grandma. And I actually looked back. We originally connected almost a year and a half before we actually met. So it had been about a year and a half that we had been in some contact. And but I knew Phil was going to try to recruit me, and I was going to try to recruit him. And I was like, there's just no point. So I kept putting them off. Well, when we essentially were losing our house and moving into my mom's basement at 40 years old with a 2 and 5 year old, very humbling experience. We had this piano that my dad had left me, and he had gone to Florida to retire, and he left this piano. So literally, I didn't have the money to even move the piano. We had to pay for a deep clean at the house, and everything was out of the house. Literally, they were moving in the next day. We were closing the next day, and this piano's sitting there. And I talked to my dad, and I'm like, I guess I'm just going to leave it here. And he's like, well, that could be worth something. Why don't you find out if it's worth any money and try to sell it? So I did some research and found out some of these pianos go for anywhere from 10 to 17,000. And I was like, we're going to move it. So I remember sitting in the office with my old company and looked up cheapest piano movers near me in Google. And the first one that came up, I just called. And I'm talking to this guy, and it's going to be like $200 to move. I'm moving it to my brother's house. And I'm like, all right, let's move it and see if we can sell this guy. And at the end of the call, the guy goes, hey, is this Brad Sullivan from World Financial Group, marketing director? And I'm like looking at my phone, like, who is this? He said, this is Phil Robertson. We've been talking on Facebook for the last year or so. So my family also owns a piano moving business. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it was a complete God thing. We literally met like 2 days later for lunch, met 2 more times for lunch. Everything I had gone through and struggled with, Phil had been through. Very similar. We actually came from almost the same company, one branched off from the other. So everything I was kind of talking to him about, he had experienced and was having a lot of success here. And he simply said, Brad, hey, come over here. You got nothing to lose. Give me 90 days. If it's not everything I've told you it is, then you can wash your hands and go do what you want to do. And listen, guys, I mean, I was, in my mom's basement, for a month. That's all we could take. We went to Kentucky for about 90 days. And that's where I started Symmetry. I went down in the basement of my mother and father-in-law's. They helped out with the kids, and I just started dialing. I put my head down and was able to make enough in the first 3 months to get a place back here in Georgia. And we were able to come home and got a place where we've been renting for about 15 months or so. We've been here, and was able to triple my income in my first 12 months here, which was just life-changing for us. I mean, I've never made much money in my life, never been around much money. And I tested all to Symmetry and the system and obviously the big man upstairs. So that's how I got going here.
Awesome, Brad. That is an amazing story. I never ceases to amaze me when I think back on that and then hear that. And then just so you came in real quickly and became a real student to the Symmetry system. And within 1 year, you signed your onboarding papers in March of 2020, and then in March of 2021, just a few months ago, you were promoted to agency owner, and have got an amazing team and so forth. So, man, congratulations and kudos to you. So, share with us just a couple minutes, if you would, Brad, about that second C of commitment and what that means to you and how it applies to your team.
Absolutely, and I'm going to piggyback a little bit off your what you shared, and I appreciate you sharing that. With Christopher, and commitment to me. When growing up, guys, I mean, I got in a lot of trouble. I played sports, that probably kept me out of more trouble. But I had a really, really bad. I'm a recovered alcoholic and a cocaine addict, and it was 13 years, February 7th, so coming up on 14 years, God willing, and it was really cool to even be there for Phil during that process, and for Christopher to be able to talk. We've all got a very close bond with that, and it's just been a real miracle watching Christopher grow these last 126 days. So I only share that because maybe there's somebody out there that it could help, or you never know who's struggling with somebody. And I always say, hey, listen, if you ever got anybody, I'd love to talk to them and just share my experience, strength, and hope with them. So that definitely is out there on the table for anybody, because there's a lot of people struggling and maybe doesn't know where to turn. So my commit, I always chalk up to commitment. When I got sober and got that job as a tennis pro for 11 years, that was the only job I ever kept. I mean, I was unemployable. I didn't have any commitment. My word meant nothing. I didn't care about anything but other than the drinking. So I heard a great definition of commitment that stuck with me, like probably better than any other thing I've ever heard. And the definition of commitment is doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you. So again, commitment, doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you. And guys, we all experienced this. I experienced it Monday, to go meet my dad. It was an 1.5-hour drive. My stomach was hurting. I ate something the night before. I was making up every excuse in my head not to go, but I said, you know what? You committed. You don't get to see your dad very often. Get in the car and just go. And I'm not perfect every time with keeping my word and commitment, but it's something that I am extremely passionate about and keeping that commitment. So carrying that into this business was a huge deal, because when I came here, guys, I mean, I was pretty much down and out financially. Things weren't good. I wasn't in a good space, and I just listened to Phil, and listen, I was calling Phil, and we kind of joke about this, literally 15 times a day. Tell me what to do. And I wasn't the best about plugging into calls and things like that when I first got here, because I just put my head down and worked. I said, what do? I make these dials, I buy these leads, I make these dials. And that's all I did. And that was the habit I formed here, just to put my head down, make the dials, set the appointments, and take the applications. And that commitment really started with, God, but then with myself and with my family. And my wife and I talked and said, listen, here's my work schedule, 9 to 5. Sometimes I got to finish up early, get the kids at 3 o'clock or so. But in the morning, no work, no phone before 9 o'clock. And from 5 to 7:30, that's time we're eating dinner together and hanging out with the kids and doing bath time and story time and all that. And, I haven't been perfect. Obviously, if an appointment or once in a while something comes up, then we communicate about it and it works out. But that's my commitment to myself and to my family. And like Phil said, the only way I know how to work with people here is if they reach out to me, because I can't call everybody, all my agents all the time and check in with them, right? We've got to know what their commitment level is based on what they're doing. And these 3 C's, I mean, they're so powerful, Phil. I mean, if you really think about being coachable, committed, and consistent, and really take a look internally and ask yourself, are you these things? That's going to really gauge where your business is, because we constantly have to be looking internally and growing in this business. And commitment is huge. We got to make that commitment, and then we got to stick to that commitment, right? It's easy to make a commitment, but we don't always stick to it. And so a lot of kind of what I've been through in my life the last 13 years has really, it's so crazy looking back, because it's like everything I've been through in my life got me ready for this moment, to when I came to Symmetry, I was ready just to jump in and had immediate success because of all the underground growth that had happened before I got here. And listen, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, right? We're just getting started. But but the commitment here starts with ourselves, and people are watching, and that's a big deal. So now I'm a part of all the calls and plugged in and all that, and that took me a little bit of time to get into as well, because I was so laser focused on, like, this is what I need to do for my family financially, and it's taken some time. So we all grow in different ways, but just super grateful to be here at Symmetry.
Awesome, Brad. Thank you. Gosh, thank you so much, man. Super excited to do both business and life with you. And so happy that you came into both our business and our life at the same time. So next, we're going to talk to wrap things up with Bobby and Sheila Shine. These are two folks that I have known for well over a decade in my life, two people that are just full of integrity and just two of the greatest human beings you'll ever meet in your life. I got a little bit offended with them when I first came to Symmetry. They were two of the people. We were sidelined together at our previous company, the practice company we were at prior to coming to Symmetry. And I thought that, man, they would just really just take face value of things and just take what I said and just jump on board with me. It took me 6 different meetings over the course of 6 months to get them to finally make the decision to come on board with us. I thought they would be just like the #1 recruit right out the door and really get going, but I had to woo them and tease them for a while to get them in. But I think they were just kind of waiting to make sure, because they had been through a lot of the same experiences that I had in the industry and with the previous company, and they were just wanting to make sure that this thing was the real deal. And I'll say this to leaders too. One of the reasons Bobby and Sheila Shine are with me and a part of this organization today is they saw me leading by example. They saw me going out and doing the things that were necessary to prove the system. They watched from afar for a little while still touching base, but when they really saw that this thing was what we had said it was, then they were all on board. And guys, just like with Brad, I am just so stinking excited to be able to do business and life together with you guys. You guys bring a whole different level of relationship with your team. I'm convinced Bobby and Sheila Shine as leaders, their team would follow them off the edge of a cliff. I'm convinced of that. They just build those type of relationships and personal nuances with individuals that they're a part of their team. So take a moment or so, if you would, guys, and just kind of tell a little bit about your story, and then talk to us a little bit about probably one of the more important of the 3 C's, that of being consistent in the process.
Hey guys, I'm Bobby. This is my wife, Sheila. We from the Atlanta area. We've been here a little over 3 years, and we're direct to the great Phil Robertson here. And so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna let Sheila talk a little bit about our story, then I'll come back and wrap everything up and talk about consistency.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to say we are so honored to be here today. So honored to be a part of Phil and to share this opportunity to speak to you guys with Phil and Brad, with 2 of the most wonderful guys that I've met since I've been in this company, who have truly impacted our lives greatly. I want to thank you guys for that. I also want to thank our founders of the company, Brandon, Brian, and Casey. I mean, just for them making the sacrifice of not only their life, but their time and money to make sure that we can be a part of a company, a community that we can truly benefit for. Yeah, so how did we get here? My husband and I, we moved here to Atlanta from Augusta, Georgia, around about 2005, and we wanted a different direction for our life. We were making somewhere around $30,000 a year. We knew that it was more to life than that with 4 children. So we came to Atlanta. We became a part of the mortgage industry. Well, we did exceptionally well. I mean, exceptionally well. Our income went up to $350,000 a year. We owned multiple homes, multiple cars, and we were just happy. Everything was going great. And how, as you all know, in 2008, 2009, there was a turn in the mortgage industry. It crashed. And when it crashed, we took a downhill spiral. And I mean, we took a quick downhill spiral. Mm-hmm. And we may have to make a decision at that time. Are we going to stay down there? Are we going to go out and we're going to look for another vehicle that can get us back to that level of 350,000 plus? And that's exactly what we did. So we were introduced to the industry. We were another company, and we went to an opportunity meeting. We sat there, my husband and I, we said, oh, we can do this. Mm-hmm. We can do this. And that's exactly what we did. And we had a wonderful time. We did a lot of travel. I mean, made no money, did a lot of hard work, but it just did not work for us. And the thing that we discovered, that we believed that we was in the right race, but we were on the wrong horse. And that's what we hear Danny Young say all the time. And so Phil was a part of that company, and that's the way we met Phil. And we became friends then. We began to gel. And then Phil left us. Yes, he left us. And so we stayed there a little longer than Phil did. And we decided, okay, this is not working for us. There has to be something else that we can do to get us back to where we needed to be. And so we received a call, and my husband received a call from Phil, and he says he wanted to meet with us. And he said, well, Sheila, Phil want to meet with us. And I'm like, for what? Why do Phil want to meet with us, right? Because I'm still having those memories of the place where we were. So we went and met with Phil, and Phil said that we met with him 6 times, but on that 5th time that we met with Phil, we decided at that moment that, number one, we was tired of eating Zaxby's, because we met at Zaxby's for 6 times, and there's only so many ways that you can eat a Zaxby salad. Okay. And number 2, that, you know what, we're going to go ahead on and we're going to try this thing. Right. And that's exactly what we did. So we called Phil for the 6th time, and we met with him, and we say, Phil, we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and, go ahead on and step in with both feet. And not only that, we saw the changes that had taken place with Phil. We heard Phil's conversation was so much different. Now we saw Beth, how she was more energetic and how she was more talkative. That right there was an impact for me. Right. So we made that decision, met with Phil, and at that moment, and as I was thinking about and going back down memory lane this morning, it took me to a story in the Bible of Joshua chapter 1, how God came and he gave Joshua some specific instructions. And he told Joshua, he said, Joshua, if you can keep the book of the law and you can keep it in your head and in your mind, and you can meditate on it day and night, you will see yourself successful and you will make your way prosper. And that's the way Phil's talked to us that day. He said, Bobby, and he said, Sheila, if you can come into Symmetry and you can follow the Symmetry system, and you can do exactly what it says, if you can buy leads and you can make dials and you can set appointments and you can go on that appointment and you can get an application and you can submit that application and you can make money. And that day, Phil brought us to the door of the promised land. Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, we have been coachable and we have been committed and consistent. Mm-hmm. And we have stepped into the realm of receiving the promises that Phil say that we can have. It didn't say that the system worked. It says that we can make our way prosper. And I am here today to say that we have reestablished, because we followed the system. We have a new home that we are renting, that we are in the process now of building. We have brand new cars. We have a brand new us, because we have self-developed and we also have ownership. So I am so happy and so elated that we feel that you was persistent in believing in us. You saw something in us that you did not give up on us. And we came in and we followed the system. And I'm going to let my husband talk a little bit about what it means to be consistent.
Yeah, Phil, we thank you for being consistent and not giving up on us. A lot of times people see things in you that you don't see yourself. And I remember in 2019, we was in Nashville, Tennessee at a Pappas conference. And one of the breaks, Danny Young walked by us and he stopped and he said, we all know that you guys can write business. When are you guys are gonna become agency owners? And when he said that, he just walked away in one of those drop the mic type moments. And he just walked away. And that stuck with me, and it really did. And as I began to meditate on that, and as I began to think about that more and more, I began to ask myself questions about, okay, why that's not happening? What is really causing us not to step over in the agency owner realm? And that word consistency popped up. I figured out that we was not being consistent enough. See, we become what we think about all day long. Whatever we're thinking about all day long, that's what we will become. And that's what we will do. And so if that statement is true, what does that mean? That means that if we think about something different, we'll become something different. And we'll begin to do something different. So we figure out that consistency was one of our adversities that we need to challenge. See, you can change your life by changing the way you think. If you never change the way you think, you will always get the same results. And we know what we say, what has been said about that. So every agent here at this company, we went through it. Phil went through it, Brad went through it, and many other agents went through. We all went through challenges and adversities from time to time. We all had bumps. We all ran into some hiccups, and we all have bruises. But one of the things that we made a decision that we was going to overcome all of our challenges and all of our adversity, because that's who we were. We was the people. We was the type of people that did not like being mediocre or being just average. So one of the things that I found out here at Symmetry, the system work. You just have to be consistent with the system. Many times we have agents call us and we listen to them. And one of the things that we find out immediately is that really you're just not being consistent. You can't buy leads, 10 leads every other week and think that you are being consistent, because that's not consistent. And so a lot of times that is really the answer to a lot of the problems that we're dealing with. Our numbers will go up. Our numbers will go up if we just get consistent with them. You know, our dollars can get better. We can become better dollars if we just get consistent. Our recruiting numbers will become better. All we have to do is just get consistent. And I believe that we all know what we need to do. I believe everybody here know what they need to do. The problem is we're just not being consistent with it. You know, here at Symmetry, one of the things at Symmetry, there's not a lack of information. There's a lack of activity. There's a lot of action that we're not doing, that things that we know we need to be doing on a consistent basis. So if we want to get the results that we need to get, we need to become very consistent. And one of the things I want to do, I just want to leave you with 4 things real quick here. I just kind of wrote 4 things down. And number 1 is we need to get focused and become coachable. You need to find out what you want and what you want to do here at Symmetry. Once you find out what you want and what you want to do, get focused on that and become coachable. Second thing is you want to get emotional committed. And I'm not talking about just become emotional committed, but I'm talking about deeply on the things that you want. In other words, your emotions is what drives you. So make sure that your emotions are involved in the business. That's what's going to help you stay committed. And then thirdly, you need to take consistent action. You need to make sure that you take some consistent action towards your goal. So that means you don't do it when you feel like doing it. You don't do it every now and then. You don't do it when it's convenient. You constantly, consistently continue to do it over and over and over and over. Did I say over and over again until you get your result? And then finally, take responsibility of your action. Make sure you take responsibility of these 3 C's. I promise you, we have tested those 3 C's, and I'm telling you, this is the reason why we became agency owners, because we got focused on it. Once we got focused on it, we got committed to it, we got consistent with it, and then we took responsibility of it. Phil, I'm gonna give it back to you.
Wow, guys, amazing. I'm telling you, this is why I love doing life with this. This is just a small spectrum of the leadership that we've got on our team. And I'm so grateful and so thankful to all of you and all of our team. This is just one of those things where we just have an opportunity just to highlight a few people that we're just so proud to be a part of. So thanks so much, Todd. Thanks so much, Brian. I always kind of end things with this. Guys, my daughter, she is a big fan of the show Grey's Anatomy. We all know that McDreamy on there that always would end the show by saying this little thing. He'd start, it's a great day to save lives. So here's how I kind of end up these things. The reality is today is a great day to transform people's lives. You've got a hold of the opportunity to be able to do that. So my question to you is, today's a great day to change lives. Why not start with your own? God bless you, each one. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to us today.
Man, so good. So
Thank
good,
you.
Phil.
Thank you. And
everybody included today. I thought I was on a national conference call for an insurance company. I didn't know I was going to church.
There you go. That's right. It's just it's
I'm over
in
here
our
screaming
DNA, it's in our
amen and
culture.
hallelujahs. Oh, so good. Man, appreciate you all pouring out and pouring back into us so much. And love the heart, love the passion, love the authentic people that you all are, and the courage to share some of the stories that you shared and struggles. And guys, if we did nothing more but change one person right now today that is struggling with some things in their personal lives, that sees there's opportunity, there's hope, there's people you can call, there's people that have been where you've been, and you too can succeed. It's so powerful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Bye.